Alright guys, so once your upper is removed, it makes it a little easier to work on removing your carbine stock now. So most important, you want to grab your armor's wrench and loosen the capsule nut up. I've already loosened it up so I can just do it by hand for the video. Real important, there's two springs here and two pieces you have to worry about. You have your, basically your buffer retainer spring, that's under tension, and you also have your rear takedown, which is by the end plate. So as you do this, you want to be very careful. So you want to kind of hold your finger on the buffer retainer, loosen your capsule nut up all the way, and then very carefully you're going to back your end plate out. You can rotate it to the side a little bit and make sure the spring does not get lost. So go ahead and pull that spring out, and now I can rotate my piece all the way out, let the buffer retainer spring come up, pull that out, pull your spring out, and now you can unscrew your receiver extension, buffer tube, carbine, stock, complete. So now that's off. Go ahead and put that aside. So now you basically have your lower, like almost flip lower again. So to assemble it back up, you can do the same thing, except for the beauty of an A2 is you just screw this all the way down and in until it bottoms out. See, there's already a shoulder built into this. So all I have to do is basically just screw it all the way in until it bottoms out. And with this here, you don't need to sit there and gorilla force it and tighten up real crazy. You just need to basically hand snug it. But to get your buffer retainer back in, go ahead and crank it out about a half turn or so, just till you expose that. Go ahead and drop your spring and buffer retainer in, so we can zoom in there. Go ahead and basically push that down again. Bring your extension, lock it in, and now your buffer retainer is being held in place. Now what you're going to do is you're going to grab the end plate, which is this guy right here. It comes in the package. This is the end plate clamp kit. You're going to want to use your 3/32 wrench. That's not included, but it's a 3/32 Allen. Go ahead and loosen up these socketed cap screws and back them out about halfway. And now you're going to literally slide this over your A2 tube, and you can see that there is a kind of a keyway there. That actually is what's going to mate up inside right here into your receiver, and it's going to keep this whole piece from backing out, and it gives it the anti-rotation. But it's also going to capture the spring for your rear takedown, and on the opposite side it has a QD. So go ahead and just slide that right on, and if for some reason your A2 is a little large or doesn't fit, you can actually pull the two pieces all the way off. Pull the pieces all the way off, and then just kind of put them back together and clamp it on. So make sure when you're pushing this in, so we can zoom in there, that you're basically pushing this in and making sure that spring goes all the way into the receiver and goes in tight. So you can see I did that, so you guys can see it can kind of kick out to the side. So go ahead and make sure it's pushed in tight. Push it down. Make sure it's on tight. Kind of hold it with one hand against the receiver, and then take your socketed cap screws again, and we're going to go ahead and just basically tighten those down. You don't want to over tighten one side, you just want to snug it down to start with on the one side, and then go to the other side and snug it down as well too. So it makes it a lot easier, guys, if you're doing this inside of a vise or armor's block. However, I'm just doing this for the video to show you so we have good views. And like I said, I'm just going to snug them down. I'm not going to make it real tight, just snugging both sides by hand. And once I've snugged both sides, the reason why is I don't want this side being completely compressed, closed, and clamped, and there being a big gap on that side. So once they're both snug, then you can go back in and just tighten it up, give another about 1/8 of a turn, quarter turn, just tighten it up. And now, what that does is, like I said, that will keep your rear detent spring in. Also will give you your QD here, and it locks your buffer tube in now, so this can never turn back out and anti-rotate free. So once that's done, next thing to install your stock, first thing you want to do is you want to loosen up this screw, which happens to be 3/32 as well too. Just going to go ahead and loosen that up. Flip it over to the other side, loosen it up. Lift your cheek rest comb height up, and which will reveal two more socketed cap screws. These are going to be your 5/32. You're going to just loosen those up a little bit. loosen them up, flip it over, do the same thing, loosen it up. And now there'll be enough release on this is the clamp, the bracket. Now this is made for the A2. The difference is you have an A2, which is a cylindrical, versus the keyway of a carbine tube. As you can see, carbine has a keyway, A2 is smooth. The other big difference between these two, besides one obviously being smooth and one being a keyway, is this dimension is 1 inch 115, and this dimension is 1 inch 145 for like a Mil Spec, or it's 1 inch 165 for commercial. So you can't use this tube with this system. If you happen to have a carbine, you would use one like this that actually has the keyway built in versus the round tube. So we can zoom in there. There's also pictures on the website showing the difference between those two guys. We also have a video that describes installation of a carbine stock on a carbine tube. So we'll go ahead and finish off the installation now with the A2. Once that's loose, you can literally just slip this through. And this will be a little snug, guys, but it shouldn't be tight. If you're having to beat this on, if you have to beat this part onto your tube, something is wrong. Either your tube is not an A2, military specifications of 1 inch 115 to about 1 inch 120. If you take a caliper and you were to measure your tube, and let's say you measure that and you're coming out and you're not between the 1 inch 115 to 120, the system will not work. So if you, for some reason, it's all the way up here at 1 inch 145 or even larger, which I've seen some because there are smooth tubes that are pistols, they're as large as 1 inch 175, this will not work. Okay? So now that we have the piece slid on there, to adjust your length of pull, you can literally just move it to wherever you want. If you want to move it further forward than what it is right here, you remove these two screws and you can move them to any of these positions here. These are all about 5/8, 0.625 spacing, so you have about a 5/8 spacing and gap. The beauty of the A2, like I said earlier, has unlimited cant ability. So for example, if you want to put some real severe cant in your gun, you can lock it up like that and then basically shoot your gun with some severe cant. So I mean, there's 360 degrees of rotation, as you can see, doesn't matter. So we'll just go ahead for this video and we'll lock it right here. So what you want to do before you adjust your cheek height comb rest, you want to make sure you lock these down. Same thing, just go ahead and snug these first on either side. Snug them both sides, flip it over, snug these down, and once all 4 bolts are snug, then you can come in and crank them down tight. Flip it over, crank it down tight. Okay, then your final thing is you're going to go ahead and adjust your comb height, your cheek rest, and I set it about midway to start with, and just go ahead and snug that down as well too on both sides. Then what you can do, you shoulder the weapon, so go ahead and bring it up, shoulder it, see how it fits, see how it feels. If you don't like that, go ahead and take a pencil and scribe a little mark right here, right next to these guys here. So we can come here, you want to scribe a little mark with a pencil, and that is a good reference point to where you were. That you can adjust up or down from there. If you need to change the length of pull, like I said, you just need to loosen up your socket cap screws underneath here and either move them to a new position here or move your whole piece. This actually is set up already pretty good for me. I already like that. So once you've made sure everything is good, you can add a little bit of 242 blue Loctite to everything and snug it down tight and it won't move on you. And this is rated all the way to 30-06. So if you got a AR-10 with an A2, you can fire 30-06 with this and it will not move. Well guys, hopefully that helps you with your installation. If you got any questions, please call. We got website information available as well too. www.royalarms.com has the videos and all information. Thanks guys.